don't think I've ever been such precise timing in my life. So I better call the newspapers because this is a one-off. Exactly 12 o'clock. Thank you for coming. Sound is all right for you guys? Not too loud? Everybody's English is okay? So we can do this in English, and whenever there's a question, just pop it to me. Let me tell you first why I'm standing here and who I am. A long time ago, back in the 80s, I became a fisherman on a Greek island. And that's when I started thinking what to do with my life. I wanted to do something big. Didn't know what it was. Had no clue what to do with my life, but I wanted to do something special and something big. And I come from a medical background. So everything in my family, both father's and mother's side, is a doctor for 3 generations onwards. But every family needs a black sheep, right? So I'm the black sheep of the family, and I became a businessman. But I wanted to do something big. And one of the discussions already back then in the family was about the overuse of antibiotics. Nothing to do with that we're against antibiotics. Antibiotics are God's gift. If you have a serious infection, it's great that there are antibiotics. The problem, though, is that the way that antibiotics have been used and are still being used is often not the right way. It's shooting a rabbit with a cannon. So we started discussing in the family also there should be a different way, something else. Now, that was the big thing I was looking for. So in '89, together with Dr. Gublut, he's a medical biologist, we started VIV. And our idea was, our purpose was, to find a natural, safe and effective alternative to antibiotics. And we called that bioactive remedies, meaning instead of antibiotic, bioactive would be quite the opposite, a completely different approach. And we didn't want so much to replace the antibiotics. I mean, when there's a serious infection, a pneumonia, anything like that, again, antibiotics have a place in medicine. But what can you do before that? What can you really do before you reach a stage that's that serious, that life-threatening, that antibiotics are the choice you should make? If we could find something before that, that fill in that gap between doing nothing at all and really doing something that is directly effective, completely safe and natural, then we could avoid a lot of use and abuse of antibiotics in that way. So that's what we started focusing on. And luckily, in a very early stage, we got in contact about this concept that we were working on with the University of Amsterdam. So the medical faculty there, the Department of Molecular Cell Biology, really thought the idea that we had about looking into polysaccharides was a very good kind of thing. We could work with their research facilities. So we started a partnership with them, which was the first formal partnership between a Dutch SME, a small medium enterprise, and a university. And back in '98, we finally made the discovery and we could patent it. So it came from plants, and we needed to have the plantations for these plants. So we started creating plantations around the world, and we needed products. In the end, we needed products. So now what you do, if you're a very small company, you've invested everything you got into the development of this new scientific approach. That's an expensive kind of enterprise. And then you need to start selling products. Now the last thing you want to do is enter into markets which are already full of competition. So how do you find a market that is suitable and that is not full of competition? Mostly that's in taboos. Sounds like, for instance, 20 years ago, Viagra didn't even exist. And it became a huge hit. Why? It was taboo to talk about these things. And back in the 90s, intimate care, vaginal products for women, were a taboo area. In the boardrooms were mostly men. They wouldn't talk about that. So we became the pioneers in intimate care. So we started with our mother and baby care and our intimate care lines. But we started having huge sales successes because the products were so well received and so effective. And we started expanding around the world, creating our own offices, or we have offices in Thailand and Lithuania, etc. And we started building other brands as well. And we started out licensing products. So there was so much potential all around the world And in the end, we also succeeded. There are publications that have compared the efficacy of our products, our new approach, in double-blind studies in comparison with antibiotics, and our products work clinically just as fine, although they're much more pleasant for the patient. So, based on this idea, we needed to cover everything, and that includes animals. Now, if you're already focusing on intimate care, mothers and babies, you're in pharmacies and drugstores all around the world, you suddenly have to enter into a new ball game, which is veterinary medicine. And we always work with partnerships, and that's how we found Alfasan. Alfasan is a Dutch company, active in over 120 countries, and they have a very forward view. So when we started talking with them back in 2014, they already had the idea, hey, we're looking for something that you're doing. Could we talk with you guys? So we started talking, we formed a partnership with them, and now they have the worldwide exclusive license for this alternative to antibiotics called To Cure. I'll tell you more about it later. And together with them now we're launching these products for animal care. So Alfasan Naturally is introduced formally at this VIV conference. And you can find us down in Hall 10. I'll give you the booth later. And that's where, next to their full range of medicines and injectables, etc., they're making this very forward approach. So what we do, we create a whole range of products based on the same basis. The active basis is the same. Wherever you use this active basis, it doesn't change. So based on the same platform called the 2-Cure complex, 2QR, 2-Cure. It's a very different molecule, of course, but that's too difficult to pronounce, and that's why we use this phonetic, say, branded name, which makes it a lot easier. And it's all about correcting and restoring the human microbiota. In this case, animal microbiota. And what does that mean? As we sit here, each and every one of us, if we start counting from the top of our head to the tip of our toes, all the living cells in and on your body, we all look different because of our DNA, right? We all look different simply because our DNA code is a bit different. So it actually means that our cells always contain our DNA. Now count the cells. How many of those cells actually have your DNA? It's not even 12%. Just imagine that for 1 second. Not even 12% of your body, as you sit here, all these living cells together, not even 12% is actually you. So what is the rest? The rest is microbes. Your body, in living numbers, consists for 88% out of microbes. Well, that's a novel idea. That means you're a symbiosis. You're not who you think you are. You're a symbiosis between your own cells, just a bit of them, and 88% of other cells. And you need those cells. They're part of you. They live with you. You do not want to destroy those ones. You want to keep them in balance. You want to have everything in nature, everything alive is about balances, right? You want to have those cells balanced with you. Now, this incredibly complex 88% of living cells of your body is called the human microbiota, also called the microflora. Just as you've heard about Yakult and Danone having these little yogurt drinks, which are good for your intestinal flora, meaning all these billions and billions of microbes that are active in your gut. But the same counts for everywhere on your body where you are in contact with the outer world. Your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, your skin, everything is covered with microbes. So our products are focused on restoring the microbiota, because if you disturb this microbiota, that's when problems will start. Now let's look at that. The microbiota has over 1,000 types of species. Yeasts, molds, bacteria, everything is in it, in the living body. And as I said, about 10 times more of those cells than your own cells. And the same counts for animals. Same kind of equation. And there's a very strong variation in these microbes. They're not the same everywhere. In your eyes, they're totally different than in your skin and under your hair and in your mouth. It's completely different. And just alone, in your mouth alone, there's more microbes in your mouth than there's people on the planet. These amounts are incredible, an incredible complex, and they're specific to you, almost like a fingerprint. You can take a swab from somebody, compare it next to you here in the same room again, and I'll find you, simply by comparing the microbiota. It's that specific. So the numbers are incredible. I mean, 100,000 billion. I mean, these are puzzling numbers. Yeah? So this is so important because it actually works with your body. It defends your body in many different ways. There are several types of those kind of microbes. The commensal ones, which are the guys that are just being present, they don't actually help you out. They're present. But there's beneficial ones as well. If you've heard probably about bifidus in the gut or lactobacilli. For instance, in the vagina, there's lactobacilli that actually make specific substances like lactic acid, which reduce pathogens or create a little bit of peroxide that works as a natural disinfectant. So they actually work together with your system. And there's, of course, pathogens, disease-causing bacteria. And many of those are a bit strange. They're opportunistic, which means you have them with you all the time, but they don't do anything to you at this moment. But when they get the chance, when your immune system is down, is depressed, that's when they will attack. So it's completely normal to have a mixture of all those guys together. And everything is alright as long as these pathogens are in check, are under control. Now, we are now in the city of Utrecht, which is about, I think about 500,000 people living in the city. And I tell you, nothing's going on. You can go out on the walk on the street, get a coffee somewhere. Nothing is wrong. Nobody will attack you. Nobody will rob you or rape you. But in the meantime, I swear to God, there's going to be killers out there. There's going to be rapists out there. Oh, in this city. But they're under control. They're under check. So it's still like a healthy living thing. Things didn't go out of hand yet. Now, what happens when these things go out of hand? You get problems. Problems that you will notice immediately. So, your beneficial microbes, the commensal microbes, you need them. You do not want to destroy them. You need them with you. So, this microbiota does a lot of good things for you. As I said before, bactericidin it antagonizes, it creates substances that go against pathogenic bacteria. It can be very simple, but even it's like natural antibiotics that they produce for you. Very helpful. And simply by being there, simply by taking up space on your skin, on your mucosa, on your epithelium, anything that's in contact with the outer world, simply by being there, it means that other guys, the bad guys, cannot land there. They do not find a spot, they do not find a place. And they produce a lot of useful substances as well. Your vitamin K, which is created in the gut, it's created by your microbes, not in your food, you can't get it. So in your metabolism, they even help you out as well. And they're very important for your immune system. They work together with your immune system. Actually, if we look at the immune system, ours, but also the animals, we actually have two. The one immune system that we're often talking about is the white blood cells, right? Macrophages, leukocytes. At the moment you cut yourself, they start to heal and repair, etc. It's the white blood cells. But your primary defense is your microbiota. The microbiota is your primary defense. They're the first layer that protect you against any influence from outside. It's only when you breach the surface, when you cut yourself, have a wound, when the antiseptic inside of you is connected with a very, very diverse microorganism which are outside of you, that's when the two get together and the leukocytes get into action. Now, how does that work, this interaction? So as I said, normally everything is in check. Yeah, it should be balanced. Pathogens should be balanced by your normal microbiota. But when they get too heavy and they get really nasty and start bothering you, what really happens? On a microbial level, the balanced microbiota has many, many different ones. As I said, very specific per individual, per area of the body. It's very specific. Now here you see the connection with your immune system. Just under the layer, your skin, your mucosa, everything that keeps the stuff outside of you, there's dendritic cells. These are a type of white blood cells that are actually your border patrol. Now these are the guys, like when you enter into the airport, they're there checking your passport and stuff like that, making sure that everybody who's nasty with bad meanings and stay outside the country. That's what these guys do. They have little antenna through the cells, and they're sensing what's out there, if everything is normal, if everything is under control. They sense that. So these dendritic cells, they sense if everything is okay, and when something goes wrong, there's other guys like macrophages, white blood cells, that actually eat stuff up. Well, what happens when it gets out of hand? So this little wormy thing here, that's a bad guy. Yeah? It notices it, but there's too many of them that start to attack the tissue, then they call alarm. Red lights, full alert, alarm phase A, etc. Bring in the guys, bring in the defense forces, bring in the leukocytes. That's called an inflammatory response. This inflammatory response typically comes with itching, swelling, maybe pain or sensitivity, redness of tissue. Now take your mouth. As I said before, there's more microbes in your mouth than there are people on the planet. Everything is under control. Everything is okay. We don't smell too much. We don't have too much plaque. But if you don't really take care of that, what happens? You get these swollen gums, right? Your gums start swelling up a bit, and when you brush your teeth a bit too hard, it starts bleeding a little bit. It becomes sensitive. Now what happened? Did you damage it? You never damaged it. Everything was normal. There's just too many microbes there. And your body, exactly in that way, responds to that by bringing in these leukocytes, create some swelling. That's why your gums start swelling. And there's a hyperactive situation, inflammatory response. And they try to get rid of that. Simply because these cells have sensed that out there the microbiota is not healthy anymore. We need to take care of that. Alright? Now, how does this really work? You also have on your mucous membranes, like in the mouth, you have mucus. It's there to protect it. Like on your skin, you have corneum, and you have some lipids protecting your skin. Now, the normal flora, the commensals, etc., the ones that are kind of useful and you want them to be there, they're not aggressive. They don't want to penetrate. They don't want to eat up from you. But the bad guys, they do. These are the bad guys here, these reddish ones. Yeah? They have the ability to penetrate your barriers and go straight to your cells, because that's what they want. They want to go to your cells. Here are the dendritic cells, the ones that we showed you the previous one. They want to go straight there. They want to eat up from you. They want to invade you. That's how they survive. That's how they grow. That's their job. And your body responds to that, because as soon as they come to your cells, this one here, a little bit, as soon as they come there, your cell starts to release stuff as well. What happens if something gets into your eyes? You start getting tears, right? Your eyes want to get rid of that. If you get something in your nose, your nose starts running. If you eat something wrong, you get diarrhea, your system throws it out. So these are all natural responses to a disturbed microbiota, to the microorganisms that are not in check. So what basically happens is that every little bad cell is looking for a way to connect with your tissues, and when it connects with your tissues, it starts to affect and invade that tissue, starts eating it up, and then it starts multiplying. They start to multiply like crazy. And that's the first step in infection. And that always happens in that way. Always. There is no exception. This mechanism, this road, is the same for all infectious diseases, for every disturbance of the human microbiota, and the same counts for animals. Now how do they do that? How do they connect? They connect because on the cell surface of these bad microbes, there's all kinds of little docking stations called adhesins. These docking stations are different. Here they're symbolized by this little squarey thing that fits on that one, or the little ball that fits on that little cup. They have the same mechanism. It's the same concept, but it's different. There are many, many different ones. So one microbe has a completely different one than the other. And some of them have varieties, like this one is symbolized has two different ones. So with these adhesives, they want to dock to the receptors which are naturally present on the surface of your cells, of your tissues, of your mucosa, of your skin. Very much like a lock and key mechanism. Right? So this is like a lock and a key, it's specific. I got keys in my pocket, right in my jacket over there. But if I go to your house, I cannot open it. If I go to your car, I cannot make it work. Although they're all keys. Why? There's so many different ones. But when you're in a hotel somewhere and you left your wallet and your keys inside, somebody comes with a key and can open up every door, right? Imagine if you would have such a key and lock these guys up. Imagine that. That was the thought we had so long ago. Because then we could stop that binding mechanism. We could lock it. That's what we've been looking for. And that would be a completely novel approach. Yeah? In that case, we could prevent these bad microbes from sticking to the surface, from entering your body and starting to invade it. They would simply be neutralized. They would be locked up. Yeah? And if we find that one single way to do it, it would be very widely effective. Not like with antibiotics, you need that group of antibiotics for that group of microbes and that one for that one. And you never know, you actually have to diagnose. And this could be multi-effective. And the nice thing is, it doesn't interfere with human cells at all. You could drink this stuff. You could put it in your eyes. You could feed it to a baby. Be completely safe. That'd be great. So no toxic effect. You don't destroy cells. You don't even actually destroy those bad cells. You just lock them up. You neutralize them. They cannot be bad anymore because they can only become bad when they bind to you. So by blocking the binding mechanism, you would block their harmful effect. What a concept. And how fast can that be? How fast can you lock a door? That fast. That works within a minute. Not like taking an antibiotic and having 3 days until something gets done. Just direct. And you will notice it. And how you would notice it, even like, for instance, itch, right? We said before, itch is an inflammatory response. Everybody feels itch. And itch is often experienced as worse than pain. Have you ever seen a dog itching like crazy? You go mad. It stresses out completely. Put that stuff on it, well, within a minute it's gone. Without any anesthetics, without anything harmful. That wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? And imagine if you could put that full of clinical and scientific evidence and put that in readily available product. Make it available. Not like, hey, here's a substance, try to do something. No, here, that's for that. Here's your eardrops, here's your eye drops. You got a skin problem, you got a skin problem. You have a wound, we take care of that wound. You could have that basis. Now that was the concept we were looking for. And was it new? We thought we were new. We thought we were, oh, Jesus, we're clever. We were not clever at all. This was already in science for quite some time. Actually, 10 years before we came up with the idea, Dr. Goodwood and myself, it was already published. We discovered that. And then all the rest is after us. I mean, we filed a patent long ago, and we were the first ones to work with anti-adhesive polysaccharides in the world. But after that, many other publications came, as you see here. No selective pressure, because it's not toxic, it doesn't kill anything, which means no microbial resistance. What's the biggest single problem with antibiotics on the planet today? Resistance coming up. If antibiotics stop working, God save us all. Honestly, that's a very, very big threat to mankind. So, it's efficacy to combat infection as well. It's already done. And it's already regarded since 1999, 10 years after we came with it, as a promising alternative to antibiotics. It's already out there. We're not the only ones saying this stuff, right? So what would be the idea then? What would be that specific key that locks up these bad microbes? So here we go again with the same little picture, and we have this bad cell looking to bind, to connect with that lock and key mechanism to your tissue in order to invade it and become bad. Now what we do, we bring these very large molecules, these polysaccharide chains, and on these polysaccharides there's full of little types that look exactly like those things, but they're all a little bit different. And what we do then, we charge them. We give them a negative charge, which makes them very attractive for the microbe. And these large molecules will stick all over that microbe. And what does it mean? It cannot bind anymore. It cannot connect anymore. How could it connect? It's all covered up. You know that Velcro stuff that you use for bags or shoes, you know, you have a soft kind of thing and you have a hard kind of plastic thing, right? You stick it together and nothing changes. They're still the same. You can do it 1,000 times over. But sometimes, if you want to grab your bag and want to stick it, you look at it, and you look at the plastic stuff, and it's full of little hairs and stuff like that got in. You have to pluck it out, and it works fine again. Now, imagine that this is a little bit like this hairy stuff. Imagine if you have that Velcro and you take a bit of wool and you wrap it over it, you get that effect. It doesn't stick anymore. Very similar to that. So, in that case, this bad cell would be neutral. Wouldn't be dead, just neutral. Can't stick anymore. And in the end, it cannot eat, cannot invade, cannot multiply. It dies off by itself. Now, we needed to find it. And these polysaccharides are very complicated. And a little bit with luck, you need luck in these kind of things. We started looking into many, many different kind of plants and into fungi and mushrooms and algae, and we started looking into many different substances. And we came to aloe as well. Now aloe, you've heard about aloe, you know why? Because it's raped by the cosmetic industry. The industry of illusion has raped this magnificent plant. There's more than 200 types of aloe, by the way. But in the cosmetic industry they call it aloe vera. And it's in your shampoo, and it's in your sun cream, and it's in your wet toilet tissue, and wherever they can even imagine something that sells, because cosmetic industry is all about marketing. But that plant has been central in folk medicine since more than 6,000 years. It's described in Mesopotamia. It's in the ancient scriptures of Egypt. Alexander the Great was known to take his armies through areas where there's lots of aloe so they could heal the problems that all his soldiers had. So one of the things we started to look at was what made aloe work? The polysaccharides. And the strange thing was nobody knew that. And we started analyzing all this stuff together with the Free University, and we found the incredible complexity of these polysaccharides if you do it right. Because that's another problem with natural substances, especially when you talk about medical natural substances. We all think it's normal that if we go to a supermarket, we can find a bottle of wine for about 3 to 4 euros. But if we go to a very good wine shop, we could find a bottle of wine for 300 or 400 euros. And it's all just fermented grape juice. And we think that's normal that you have these differences in quality when we talk about taste or a wine. Well, these differences are even more there, more present, when you talk about pharmaceutical substances. You need that plant to make these polysaccharides for you. You need to feed it and breed it in such a way that it makes the right components, that it gets the right stuff to do it. Otherwise you don't get the end result. So we needed to be in control from the plant to the end product. And this anti-adhesive capacity that we discovered with these polysaccharides, we could easily incorporate that in these aloe plants, and that's what we did. And now, already for many years, it's the only registered anti-adhesive therapy in the world. We're the only ones who really made this into a huge success. Now let's look at that in real life. Yeah? Now we've showed you some little schemes. I've explained how these little buggers, they work with us, but also against us if we're not careful. But this is how it looks in science. In '83, Nobel Prize was given for the discovery of Helicobacter pylori, one of the most common infectious cells in the human body. 1 in 4 people have it in their human stomach. And this is how that looks. We're fluorized here, they're fluorized Helicobacter pylori. And they stick all over the mucous membrane, which is the surface of your stomach. A little bit more on the one, a little bit less in the other one, without any ToCure there. Now we add ToCure to the scene, and they detach and they go away. They're still a little bit scattered around the place, but everywhere they detach. And when they detach, they're freely floating around, they're not attached, and the body can get rid of them with their own systems. Yeah? In your mouth, it's your saliva that gets rid of a lot of microbes that go down into your stomach, and your stomach is very acidic and kills them all. So like that, it keeps it in check. And like I said, the tears in your eyes do the same, the mucus from your nose does the same. So your body has systems, we just help the body. That's why we call it bioactive, right? Now, if we look at it with different types of surfaces, for instance, gelatin with Staphylococcus aureus, which connects very well to gelatin, or Candida, which is a very nice one to research because it's a lot slower and bigger, we see an 80 to 90% reduction in microbial adhesion when we add ToCure to the scene. That's quite impressive already. And when we look at that in a completely new technology, which is called image flow cytometry, it's cell by cell. So basically what you see here, these cells, all of them, are the same as here, but here we have fluorized the Candida, nice and big, so we see it under the microscopic picture, and they're flowing through a very fine tube, and the microscope is making pictures of that. And without ToCure present, we see that Candida actually enters into those cells and start destroying them. Here they're right on the surface, going to attack it or cover it, like you see there. And when we add ToCure, no Candida attaching to those cells. But there's something else, which is very nice to see here. The morphology of the cells, the way they look, remains completely natural. They're still alive, they're still well and happy. There's no difference in the cells. There's no effect on it. If you would put a disinfectant, for instance, chlorhexidine, iodine, etc., you would destroy those cells. They would be dead and gone. With disinfectants, you actually kill everything, good and bad. It's like a battlefield and you just throw napalm over it. It will kill all soldiers, also the ones that you need yourself. So that's never a very good thing. These toxic substances are not a very good idea. This is a vaginal infection. Yeah, real life vaginal infection, full of infectious cells. Bacterial vaginosis, VIV, bacterial vaginosis. And 3 days, twice a day, completely gone. On top of that, the symptoms. Most people, nobody sees this. You can only see that under a microscope. But the patient notices the symptoms. In this case, vaginal discharge or smell that's not so pleasant, an itch or redness or sensitivity of the tissue, gone within minutes. It's extremely fast. Now, I told you that we're not killing them. It's not toxic. So we render them harmless, as you see. They cannot do their bad thing anymore. But not by killing them, like antibiotics or disinfectants do. And here you have 4 bad guys. E. coli, Staph aureus, Pseudomonas, Candida. This is 1 hour after incubation with ToCure condoms, with and without. So no ToCure is white, with ToCure is the grayish one. You see, they remain the same. This is after overnight, after 16 hours. Still, no real significant difference in the counts. 16 hours long, incubated with ToCure. There is no death of cells. It's non-toxic. is not a disinfectant. It's a completely novel way of regulating and correcting and restoring the microbiota. So it actually works with the body. It actually neutralizes the adhesive capacity of harmful cells, but also in the formulations that we use for this product. It's a watery product. We can use that in gels, in sprays, in drops, in many different ways. Actually adding to the effect. Yeah? A gel that really sticks to the epithelium, for instance. So the treatment is also of existing conditions, because then comes a question that I've heard many times around the world wherever I speak about this. And it's a very logical question. What happens if these microbes are already stuck to you? They already started to invade you. They're already doing it. And you're saying you're only getting these free-flowing guys that are just floating around and you neutralize them. Okay, but what about the guys that are already stuck? Now you have to understand, the human body is a very dynamic organism. This microbiota is very dynamic. It's not that a microbe just sticks to you and stays there forever. Your body tries to get rid of it. As we saw also, your cells try to let go of them, your mucus, your whole system tries to get rid of them. And there's cells coming in, there's a constant dynamic, it's like a war out there. So every time they're released, your body tries to release them. And then they start, they disattach themselves and they start again trying to get in there. When they're in that stage, we get them. We cannot get them loose when they're on, but all the time your body is shedding them. It's called shedding, the shedding process of letting them go, and every time they're shed, we take them. Which means it must be on the surface. So there comes the downside. There's always a downside, right? There's always a yin and a yang. The downside is when it's deep into the tissue, we cannot reach it. If it's like an infection of the brains, we cannot reach it. We can only do it in topical treatment. Only direct treatment. By applying a gel or a spray or in the eyes a drop or in the ear, that's where we can get it. But deep into the tissue we cannot reach it. It must be contact. And what we call it contact intensity. So it's not that like with antibiotics you have to get a certain percentage in your blood of the active components which will then wipe things out. No, it's not systemic. It's really topical. Right? So, the advantages are pretty big. What I personally think is the biggest advantage is the direct effect. Because many people, and also animals, and we live in a world that we want it now. You know that song? I know what I want, and I want it now. Yeah? We've got that kind of attitude. Patients have the same attitude, and patients coming with animals also have that attitude. You want to see it, you want to feel it, you want to experience it now. Not in 3 days. Like with antibiotics, you have to go, and after 3 days it starts kicking in. Now. So that very direct effect, for me, is the biggest one, on the symptoms, because that's where you notice its effect. But also the broad spectrum, multi-efficacy of the formulation is a great advantage, because you don't have to diagnose. It will be good anyway. It's very widely effective. And even as co-therapy, for instance, is excellent as well. And you cannot go wrong. There's no side effects. There's no toxic impact. And it only selectively neutralizes the harmful guys. But it's the harmful guys that have this incredible capacity to stick to the surface of your cells and enter your body. It only wipes that out. It doesn't do any other harm. We make baby products. You can fill in a bath and have a baby bathing in it for an hour and it will come out just fine. It's no problem at all. There's no microbicidal activity, which means the microbes will not find a way to get around it, like with the resistance to antibiotics. And it doesn't disturb the normal flora, it just corrects it. Now, I told you about these plants, these aloe plants. We need to take care of those in a special way, feed them in a special way, etc. So I choose a couple of places around the world where I like to be. One of them is South Africa, the other one is the Caribbean, and the other one is Bali. If you have to do it anyway, better do it in a nice place, right? So we started plantations all around the world, making aloe, and you see the inside is the gel. The outside is a rind. You see this the outside is a rind. If you look at the pharmacopoeia, you will see that the rind of aloe is a laxative. We don't need that rind. We only need that gel. That's where we can create the polysaccharides. Actually, gels are made out of polysaccharides. That's where we started looking jelly substances. Polysaccharides create gels, right? So we have these factories getting the leaves out of the plantation, getting this gel out, and creating a stabilized extract in all these tanks that you see. That we do all over the planet. Then it's shipped to Holland, and here we have a molecular filtration unit in Europe. And then we have full automatic production lines to make our products. So these molecular filtration units are the heart of the technology, because we take the active molecules out of the extract. So we standardize the extract, we take them out, we can measure them, and we have those machines working day and night for us. Like this, we're in control from the plant in the field to the leaves to the molecular filtration in the end. In the end, we have this white wine kind of substance. Looks a little, it's exactly like that. And actually, from each batch, we can actually relate it back to even the plot of plants wherever in the world it was. So we're fully in control of that. We're completely certified for that. But it's not a medicine. It's not a medicine in the way that medicine is defined. A medicine typically has a dose-response relationship. A medicine typically has a biochemical mode of action. It will do and interact with the human cells. It will do something with your body. It will penetrate into your bloodstream, etc. It doesn't do things like that. And this mode of action is reversible, which means just like the Velcro that I gave you the example with the wool on the Velcro, if you take the wool out, it stays the same. So it's a physical mode of action. It's physical, like magnets are physical, nothing changed. Put the magnets together, get them, nothing changed. It's not chemical, it has no metabolic function. It doesn't work directly on your immune system, it works indirectly on your immune system by correcting the microbiota. Your immune system, instead of getting hyperactive and inflamed, reduces directly to a normal state. So it's a physical mode of action, not affecting microbial viability, and that's why in human products we're classified as medical devices all over the planet. Now, this raw ingredient, as I told you, is from the gel of these aloe leaves. Yeah? That's grass, generally regarded as safe. It's well known all over the planet, it's in drinks, it's in everything. It's a completely safe kind of thing. And we actually just take the active molecules out that we create in there by growing them in the right way. We have all cytological and biocompatibility and toxicological data are excellent, really at the highest level of safety. And of course, we have many, many models and clinical studies we've done. But most of all, we've been on the market for more than 20 years, very successfully in many countries over the world. We sell millions and millions of these products every year without any negative complaint. So there's huge advantages. It's very broad spectrum, very wide range. We correct and restore the microbiota, which is so important for life, as I explained in the beginning. There is no limitations in frequency or quantity. If you wanted to use it 20 times a day, a liter, it's fine. If you just want to apply it every time, now and then, like twice a day is enough already. It really is directly effective, natural and safe, and it works with your body, not against your body. And basically everywhere in and on your body where microbes play a crucial role, we can make products, and actually we do. We even make products, for instance, as stoma. You know, the artificial exit that people get when they have like a intestinal cancer and stuff like that. Imagine what that does to the skin in that area. We have specific compresses that take the pressure out of it. Even that we do. So everywhere in and on the human bodies, we sell those products. As self-care, you do not need to have this as a prescribed medicine. Because it's so safe, so easy. There's no limitations on it. So it's freely available in pharmacies, drugstores, in all the countries of the world. And now we're bringing that for animals as well. So this is where we're active now, just about everywhere, and expanding fast still. We've just been in South Africa and we're entering our South African market as well. So if you take all this knowledge and all this science and all these new views, then you would understand that actually this is an ideal basis for the partnership we have with Alfasan in creating excellent animal products. And then you could also understand that a skin cream or a skin spray, for instance problems of the fur of a cat or a dog, could have the same active basis as the ear product, or a foreskin gel for dogs, or an injector for the udders of milking cows, or by adding it to a drink of chicken who have salmonella problems, for instance. You could do that in many, many different ways. And we're going to do much more of it still. So this is just the beginning of an absolute breakthrough in veterinary health. Look it up, Hall 10, B010, 18, Alfasan. We're there to help you out. Thank you very much.